Mario once again with MIA Microflight, and in this video I'm going to be discussing this tool that I designed for the wheels that I make for the tires, foam tires made out of this material here. This is a 1-inch high density foam. I think this is also called EVA foam, or I know it's a high density foam, so and it'll work with similar thickness foam materials. But this is the material that I use to make my tires, and as you can see, these are all 3D printed parts, my own hubs. And I mean, if you can design a part on CAD, you can pretty much make any shape, any design of a hub that will work with this type wheel here, foam wheels. And so the reason for number one, the reason for me making my own tools and my own having control over my own my own products, this is something that in the past I would buy in large quantities, but given that a lot of this stuff has become scarce, you can no longer buy the same wheels, the same sizes, or the same styles as in the past. I mean, there are companies that make wheels that's not a problem, but the problem is that I rarely find things that I like, and so you can see how spiffy this wheel is and very, very clean. And so I'm about to discuss this tool right here, which is basically a 3/8 square bar, aluminum square bar, and this is a tool that I modify actually the aluminum square tubing. I made a similar setup way before, many years ago, and that's what these slots are for. This is where I would insert the an X-Acto blade, and it was just retained there by a little bit of pressure. So these slots are a little bit tighter, so when the blade was inserted, it would retain itself. And this is one of the forms that would hold the blades in place while I was cutting. Of course, you can see that the radius from here to there is about, these are graduated in half-inch increments, so that's about 1.5, 2.5, and about almost 2.5, around 2.5, 2 3/4, and 3 inches. So I was cutting 2 3/4 and 3-inch wheels. And this one I designed originally, with the methods that I'm using. This was inverted 90 degrees, so the blades would be vertically, for cutting my lanyard wheels out of the half-inch foam, which is half-inch foam is basically that type of that size in comparison to this. Obviously, half of the height of this. And these I would buy in these are exercise mat foam sections that you can buy in 6-pack. So they're very inexpensive, and you can make your own wheels, provided you're not too concerned about the aesthetics of the surface here. The surface here is pretty flat. I wish this was flat, but having purchased this material recently, and this is the way it came with this pattern on both sides, I think it's pretty neat, pretty cool that at least both sides are the same. So I'm not really too concerned with that. I'm more concerned with the mechanics and the performance of a wheel like this, which is working very nicely. It has been, for many years that I've been making wheels like the way that I'm describing here. This particular tool, I must caution any viewers or anybody that's looking at this and trying to replicate this, reverse engineer what I'm showing here. Basically, this is not for. This requires a lot of care, because you are working with X-Acto blades, and any miscalculation, or if your mind is not totally on the tool itself or on the assembly of this, you're going to get hurt. I've even myself, that I'm very careful, and my mind is always on the on taming the tiger. If you know how to tame the tiger, I have a saying that there's no need to fear it. And this is the same with tools. If you understand the tool, the mechanics, the limits of the tool, then there's no need to fear it, and you're going to be more careful on your operation. But your mind has to be totally embedded, submersed in this in a project like this, or in the process of cutting blades like that. I redesigned this tool several times. I mean, I have one that's done in sections that you can just attach the blades. You can attach multiple blades, and so this is kind of a bunch of these little sections here. And there was one tool that I did a while back, and which looks something like this. As you can see, that's one of the tools. As you can see, I could vary the radius by changing the tool position, from slot to slot, and just a bunch of slots that are retained with a bolt and nut. So that's been my tool, to make it adjustable. But I recently came up with this other setup, which is working a lot better, because you can adjust the tool itself on this bar right here. You're not locked into multiple of these things. You save on printing, and one tool does the one of these posts or supports with a blade pretty much does the adjustment by means of just sliding it on this bar right here. That's what this screw and nut is there for. This right here, I did that to put a guard safety on the tip of the blade. So this is supposed to be right there, and as the tool is lowered, into the material, this rises up like that, allowing room, for the blade to clear on the foam material. So this has a spring or a rubber band right here from there, which keeps it in tension. That way, up against the material, and as you push it down, this rises and then comes back. I decided to take this out because it's a little more cumbersome, and it really doesn't need it, provided that you are very, very careful, or provided not you, because you don't have this tool. Nobody has this tool except me right now. For anybody that's using it, the user has to be extremely, extremely careful with this, and so this is not for, pardon my wording, but it's not meant for stupid people. There are people that don't have a sense of safety, and they build things like that. So I'm not recommending that you build this. This is just is a show and tell, just to show you how I make the wheels my way. But like I said, this is not for people who are not who don't have a sense of safety, and are super, super cautious with tools, especially a tool of this nature that has blades spinning around. You have to be really careful, not only, like I said, in the assembly of the tool, because you do have to put this blade here, and but because it's a rotating cutter. Basically, it's a high-end, super sharp cutter, and that's what allows it to cut the foam material with this level of quality here. They're very smooth, provided that you do it very, very slowly. The slower this comes down onto the material, the better the surface finish is going to be on this blade. This one right here, you can see how it fits. This fits a little bit loose. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to move this inner cut right here, which is what this blade is doing. I'm going to move it slightly over by about 1/32 of an inch, so that when this hub is in place, it's a little more snug. It's going to have a smaller diameter here by 1/32, so it'll be nice and snug, and that way the tire does not pivot on the hub. Now these hubs, the way I designed them, you can see they have a 6-bolt pattern here, which is attached to the other half of this via small screws. And so once that's in place, also it creates tension on both sides. This has also a gap in between by about a 1/32, 1/16 of an inch. So when these things compress onto the foam, it's locked as well. So I could just leave it the way it is right here. It's not really that loose, but I am going to move this a little bit further in because I can. And this tool allows that easily to do that, to be adjustable. Just by sliding this in on this bar. And so this is my tool. And this is how I cut my blades. Not my blades, my tires. What am I talking about? Jesus Christ, I'm losing my train of thought here. I'm trying to say too many things too fast here. And so, you can see how that comes out. Once you lower, the tool and then start spinning and cutting. Now this post right here is nothing more than a bolt. It's I think that's a 1032 bolt right here. It's slightly shy of a quarter inch of a 20 bolt, and it's because this right here is this bar, like I said, is 3/8 of an inch, and so I wanted the bolt to be inside the width of this with a little more meat on the aluminum, and that's retained by two nylock nuts, so that it retains in place as this is spinning. This is also could be a little bit longer, so that it touches the foam material first before the blades engage into the cut. But as long as this material is fixed onto the table, and I typically hold the material on this table with just a double-sided tape, but I've also used pins, very shallow pins that hold the material so not to mar the surface. The other side of the wheel is the wheel is manufactured this way. And so, this is my tool. And once again, don't do this at home. I'm just showing this how I make the blades. I mean, there are many ways to cut blades. You can also do this on a lathe with a similar type setup, on your tool post, where the blade comes in and cuts it, provided that you can retain this on the spindle. As this is rotating, you come in with a tool that way. But in that case, you either have to build a tool similar to this, so it cuts both holes at the same time. I mean, you can put the tool with a blade here and a blade right next to it instead of opposing ends. The reason for this is being opposing ends is also to balance to balance the dynamics that happens, when you have an item of a particular weight attached, to a bar that's spinning at the center. And so the closer this is to a balance, to being balanced, from this would be equally balanced if this would be at the same distance, from the center to this side as on this side right here. But it's not a problem if the tool is very lightweight, so it's not so much. If this was heavy, then you're going to have to counterbalance that somehow. So I'm not too concerned with that, and it's working just fine as I'm discussing this. So just for example, I just whip that out and see. This is what I mean. Where you have to think of all these things. So anyway, that's how the tool spins. And right now it's got a slight wobble at the center, which has to do with the attachment point here. Sometimes this I think it got a little bit loose, so I have to tighten this a little more so that this is totally concentric. Because this is vertically and at 90 degrees, with this bar right here, and the more this is straight, the better the tool is going to spin through. So I have to do a little fidgeting here to get that just dead on. The blade the wheel that I just spun out of here, it's pretty it's pretty true. And so this is sort of my first test. Typically, I don't use these wheels, when I'm doing this, until I set this up just right to the point that it's perfect, and then I start producing wheels that I can actually put on my models. But this is sort of my first try, and as I said in many videos, it typically takes me three tries, before I get it just dialed in just right. That is not only with assemblies like this, but with the design of the tool. And so this is a tool. It's a few iterations, from the original one that I just showed. That green pack of those plates, to support the blades. This is another one that I did right before this one right here. This one is also has provisions in the geometry to angle the blade so that the cutter. So that the blade, the edge, the cutting edge is vertically instead of being on an angle like this, as typically it would be if you were to just put the blade vertically. So this is a little bit on an angle so that the edge is vertical, with the cut. Here's another one that I did. Like I said, this is sort of a one piece, and this is these are dedicated cutters to cut specific wheel sizes, and so these are not adjustable. At least not beyond this point here, because you can add these blocks. These are blocks, that you can add, in sections to elongate this and make bigger cuts. I mean, I could actually cut a much bigger wheel size by moving these blocks right here further, and just keep adding blocks and just locking it up. This one has provisions for a blade safety here, which is just this little pocket or cap that I did, and you can see how that snaps in place. So it provides safety for storage, because you don't want to store a blade like a tool like this, without some kind of protection on the blades. And so I am also working on a cap here, protected cap to protect the user from getting cut. If when handling this, once the tool is out of the press here. But this is basically what it would look like, something similar to this cap here, just to protect the blade. And this snaps in place really nice, because the tolerance is just right. You can see how that's really locks it in place, and this is not coming out unless you pry these edges here. So that is these are my tools that I've been using, for cutting my own foam wheels. And as I was saying earlier in this video, I like having control of my products. I like having control of the manufacturing of my products. If these wheels were available at the price, at the cost that I think is fair, in mass quantities, I would be purchasing these wheels. But like I was saying, also I rarely find things that are to my taste. You can see how cool this wheel is looking. You can use this on not only airplanes. This is designed for airplanes because it's so lightweight, but it could also be used for buggies, for robots, for pretty much whatever you need a wheel to do, except putting too much weight on these things, because this the foam will compress if you put this can handle easy a 2 wheels, 3 wheels on a trike like the MIA Quicksilver style. Quarter scale RC ultralight. It'll handle easy 7-10 pound model without deflecting or without getting flat on the model. Of course, I never leave my models with the batteries on, standing on hard ground. Most of my models, I hang them from the ceiling, so they're floating, so the wheels are intact in that respect. Because even wheels that you purchase, commercial wheels, inflatable, foam, rubber tires, if you leave the model standing on its own weight, many times, you come back after a few months, and depending on how you keep these things, where you keep them, they tend to, the wheels tend to deform. And so I rarely keep my models, on flat ground. All of my models are hung from the ceiling, when I'm not using them. So that's another thing to consider. But yeah, so this is my tool. Once again, it's not made for, pardon the word, once again, it's not made for stupid people. And I have to emphasize the word stupid, because if I don't, somebody's probably going to try to do something similar, and you're going to get hurt. Let this be a caveat that I'm not responsible if you get hurt. I'm not suggesting that you do that. I'm just showing you the way I manufacture these things. But I'm extremely careful with my tools, and because I design my own tools, I know how the tools work. I know the limits of that, and I know how to handle these things. Even so, sometimes you if you get distracted, you might run your finger there, boom, and you end up cutting yourself, as it happened to me right here. A little while ago, my wife was calling me for dinner, and I was assembling this, and I kind of got distracted. I slipped my finger from under this blade, and it caught my finger. So you can say, well, try making a tool that safer. The only other way to do this safer would be to do some kind of a serrated circular cutting saw, like the stuff that's used for wood, for drywall. You can do that, and at least you don't have these very sharp ends here. But when you do that, you're not going to get the same finish on on the surface of this foam material. And so this is the as far as I'm concerned, this is the only way to establish a good finish without having to go to a laser cutter. The other thing is, if you have a laser cutter, by all means, a laser cutter is much better. The tool is not, you're not exposed to that because it's under maybe a cover or a box, and so that's the other way to do that. But even with a laser cutter, laser cutters tend to, because it's heat operated, in a beam that has to be focused. That beam can be wider at one point and less effective on the other point, and so the surface or the edge tends to be a little bit on an angle with this kind of height using a laser cutter. The other way to do this would be water jet. If you have access to a water jet, and I've seen some water jets that are made for they're not totally desktop water jets, but they're getting up there in compact size. But you can buy a little machine that they're still expensive. You're going to spend quite a bit of money, and unless you're manufacturing things for production, for industry, for certain industry, you're not going to be able to justify the cost of that machine. So that's something also to consider. For me, this is working great and very inexpensively. I design my own tools. I maintain my own tools. I know the operation of the tools, and so for me this works just fine. And I prefer to do this versus having to purchase a machine that I may not even use it that much. And so this is how I approach things. Once again, I'm not suggesting that you do this. I don't recommend anybody building something like this. I'm just talking how I make my tools. Safety once again, because I'm making this video for as a show and tell. I'm not recommending, once again, that you do this unless you're really know what you're doing. I can't stress that enough. I didn't have to show this video, but I'm just showing this because this is one way to get a clean cut on a wheel. If you're trying to make wheels like this yourself, you have to be extremely careful. And if you're not if you're not that intelligent and careful using tools, I recommend you stay away and just buy the wheels or get them from somebody that can do this. I don't plan on offering these wheels. I may. I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on how many people would want something like this. I make these for my own aircraft that I sell in kit form. Actually, I'm making these for the quarter scale, and I'll be probably making this also for the half scale, which I've gotten some interest in customers wanting the full aircraft with all these items with the wheels, with the pilot. So just be cautious. Don't do this at home. If you don't know what you're doing here. And once again, I am not responsible if you get hurt. I'm not suggesting that you do this. This is once again, it's just a show and tell. These tools, like any tool, can be lethal. This is no more dangerous than a power tool that uses blades, serrated blades, or lathes, or even a simple drill that you can, if you're not careful, if you're drilling, you're holding a screw, and as you're drilling, that. If that slips, it's going to go right through the finger, and you're going to have a hole in your finger. It's happened to me, at times, but just be cautious. Mario, once again, thanks for watching.